Welcome everybody to Saturday training. My name is Steve Kuchin. I'm a holistic health practitioner here in San Diego, California. I really wanted to dive into today of our Aalere bracelet and what it actually can do for our bodies. This is a brand new creation of Josh's, and I really like mine. I introduced it. A really good friend of mine, she's like 72 years old, and we went ahead and did some work with her, like a little bit of housekeeping here. The statements made in this presentation have not been evaluated by the FDA. Nothing in this presentation should be construed as diagnosing, prescribing, or treating disease. It presented for education only. We must legally warn you that if you're ill, have any disease, or pregnant or nursing, you should consult a medical doctor before attempting any natural or herbal program. And as I was saying, with my friend, she is 72 years old, we put the bracelet on. Actually, we did a little bit of testing before. We took her blood pressure before, and I love doing this because, I also have a little dynamometer which I bought for $35 from Walmart. It really works quite well. It can test the before and after, within like 2 minutes or 3 minutes after wearing it. So we did that. Also, we did the balance test with her, and everything. All her stats improved. All her stats. She was very, very happy. And I did warn her, some people can't sleep with it at night, so she tried to sleep with it at night. Well, 1 o'clock in the morning came around, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. She says, "Oh, the hell with this." She took the bracelet off, put it off of her body, and in 15 minutes fell asleep. So some people are like myself, are really susceptible to the power of this bracelet. Well, let's talk about what we have in the bracelet. We have imbued in the bracelet anti-5G, anti-2G, anti-3G, anti-EMF, anti-RF, and also we put in the Schumann frequency. The Schumann frequency is the frequency that the Earth vibrates at, right? So we as beings, we have to be two things in our bodies. We have to be grounded to the Earth. That means we should be walking bare feet on the sand or on the beach or on the grass when we can, right? Or if we can't, if it's wintertime, make sure you have a grounding sheet at home that you sleep on, or a grounding mat that you have around your computer. Very, very important to be connected to sunlight, get sunlight at least 20 minutes per day, and have your feet attached to the Mother Earth, because Mother Earth is the resonance. It gives our bodies, it's like we have millions of years of evolution having to do with our bodies. And there are little things called mitochondria. Mitochondria are these little energy cells that are in our body. And they're numerous. There's like, for example, in a heart cell, there's like 5,000 mitochondria, 5,000 of these energy producing units in the heart, in every single cell, not just the whole heart, but in every single cell. And you have trillions of cells in your body, right? So this gives you an idea. You have more mitochondrial DNA than you actually have your nuclear DNA, okay? Because the cell, we actually have DNA in the mitochondria, and also in the cell we have nuclear DNA. So trillions of cells. So you multiply that by how much. It would multiply by 5,000, but you have the picture. There is a lot of mitochondrial DNA going on, and this attributes to our energy, attributes to our health in our body. So what are the principles that we base our celluvation on? Our cells in our body are very sensitive to energy field. And these energy fields around our body, they send signals to our bodies, because every single cell in our body has little antenna. Our bodies and cells respond much more to subtle stimuli rather than to violent stimuli. So this involves feather-like, very gentle applications, organized energy, with information and frequency encoded information that is appropriate to stimulate cells to do repair and to deliver electrons to the site of inflammation. Our usual way is to do battle, like, for example, a war in cancer. Well, we lost that war, didn't we? Why use a hammer when a feather will do, says Dr. Ushman. Now, this is actually a cell structure and how it looks. We have receptors, that purple receptor there, and it's like a lock and key. We have these ligands, which are protein signaling messengers. So any kind of signal that's outside the cell, right, will signal the cell, and then it transmits that signal with protein messengers down to DNA, and the DNA respond like a little factory. Okay, they respond like a little factory, and they create the signals like cytokines. Cytokines are signaling molecules, inflammatory signaling molecules. Have your cells respond in a certain way. right? To send white blood cells to certain area for infections and things like that, right? So we have now the advent of dirty electricity, especially there's a lot of proponents out there for 5G in order to blanket this planet with electromagnetic radiation. And they want to do this on every cell tower and every second telephone post in our neighborhood. This is going to be horrible because 2G and 3G already has been found to be very harmful for the cell. Okay, and now they're inundating us at their football stadiums, baseball stadiums, their cars, their driverless cars. This is one of the things that they say, well, we want driverless cars. Well, who the hell cares for driver? I don't care. I'd rather go back in riding a horse myself. I mean, they put them on trains. They're going to have them on apartment blocks. They're going to be inundating. Imagine living in New York City, where not only have cell phones, already millions of cell phones in one area. Then on top of that, there's going to be 5G penetrating throughout your buildings. It's going to be like sitting in a little microwave oven over there. Here's an example of plant DNA being affected by a smart meter. And they're killing off half of this tree, right? This is exactly what happens with our body when you have these aberrant frequencies getting inside our cells, and then these signals affect our mitochondria. Now, mitochondria are supposed to operate at 139 millivolts. Now, because of the radiation, that millivolt increases. So what happens? What happens then is the free radical are more abundant if the millivolt amperage is increased. More free radicals equals more harm inside the cell. So, and this is exactly what happens with your blood. This is EMF causes rouleau. Rouleau is a clumping of your blood cells, okay? The clumping of your blood cells is not good because then you can't transmit nutrition to the cell. You can't transmit oxygen to the cell properly, right? Clots happen. And of course, when clots happen, then one can have a stroke. So all these cells should be like on the left-hand side, right? No EMF. And that's why we wear our Aalere bracelet. Now, this is something interesting that I have found out. Dr. Lesovic, he's a PhD resident professor. He explains the true concepts of an atom. Now, this is a little bit hard to wrap one's head around, but I just want to get it. This is because everything is light. Everything is made out of photons. Okay, the smallest particle is a photon. The smallest energy is a photon. So even these aberrant molecules that come into our space, let's say from radiation, from a cell phone tower, from your cell phone, they're actually a piece of light that is erratic. Okay, it doesn't have a 0 point. You see, these are actual pictures of your red blood cells, okay? But it actually is a picture of them in the form of light, okay? So what happens is this. There's a 0 point. There's zero electrical potential in the middle, right? And they have a line geometric center, right? All those other molecules don't have a aligned geometric center, right? And that's what happens when they come close to your cells. There's a thing called resonance. In physics, it's called resonance. Something will resonate with something next to it. I'll give you an example. You're sitting beside someone who's mad or upset about something, right? For some reason, you're upset also because their frequency is upsetting your frequency, okay? And not just on a spiritual level, it's also on the physical level, right? So this is actually what happens. So all our cells, every single cells are actually spinning light rings. And this is what electric current is made out of, these donut-shaped spinning light rings. Now, and it has to do with compression and expansion, okay? Now, these 0 points, these electrical 0 points, like in the center of the little donuts, is the source of all energy. Now, when I learned about this, really blew my mind. It's the source of all energy, and this is called, in other words, the God field. It births all life. All life comes from this 0 point, right? And all these 0 points are connected in your body, okay? And also, all these 0 points are connected to source, which is outside your body. So this is a new way of looking at what our atoms look like, spinning light rings. And this is why this rhythmic balance and this interchange is compression and expansion, because it's a compression and then expansion, and then this light emanates and then dissipates out into the universe. So this is how atoms are actually created. What happens, remember I was telling you, a human cell? You get the 0 point, and then you get an imbalance, a radiation field. This is non-concentric point. It's off balance. So what it does, it actually stimulates your cells to be off balance. So it is this aberrant electrical energy that is outside our body that is affecting us in an adverse fashion. Okay, and not only that, also the wavelength is actually the microwave wavelength of, because right now we have the wavelength has large troughs. By the time it reaches our bodies, I mean, it's still an aberrant frequency, and it still changes our atoms in our body. Okay, and it still changes our genome. But when we get into 5G, it's going to be 15 times more intense, 15,000 times more intense, that electrical energy. These rats were exposed to Wi-Fi, and they had a reduction of these beautiful antioxidants in our cells. And these antioxidants called glutathione and superoxide dismutase, and catalase were reduced because of Wi-Fi radiation. And this is because of this clinical trial, they found that out. And also, the Wi-Fi causes an imbalance of insulin secretion, okay, in your pancreas. So you can see how this might cause or attribute to, like, for example, diabetes, and also insulin insensitivity too. So mitochondrial disease. Remember I said that Wi-Fi will affect the mitochondria. This is the basic energy unit in the cell. You see these little 2 mitochondria there? Well, this would not be a red blood cell, because red blood cells have no mitochondria. But let's say the heart, this is like a one cell in a heart. It has a cytoplasm, it has the plasma membrane on the outside. Imagine 5,000 of these mitochondria being in there. And then your heart is actually really is like the frequency of the heart is the hardest working muscle in the body, right? So it has a certain frequency. So these actual EMF, aberrant electrical energies, affect our heart and how it actually works. So it causes mitochondrial disease, these aberrant EMF. So they cause a vast array of health concerns, including, get this folks, fatigue, weakness, metabolic strokes, seizures, cardiomyopathy, arrhythmias, developmental and cognitive disabilities. Imagine our kids in school. They're going to inundate, because they want to have all computers, they want to have all laptops, they're going to inundate them with 5G. And how about their cognitive abilities then are going to be impaired? And also, the impairment of hearing happens, vision, growth, liver, gastrointestinal, and kidney function, and more. So this is our beautiful cell in our body. This is what it looks like. Isn't that gorgeous? You see this little red dot right here? This is the nucleus of the cell, right? So this is where the nuclear DNA is stored. And then you have mitochondrial DNA. So you have 2 sets of DNA in your cell. It's very important to look after your DNA. Now, what we have also in our bracelet is the hydrogen frequency. The hydrogen frequency activates an NRF2 pathway. NRF2 pathway increases glutathione, increases catalase, and superoxide dismutase. That means increases the antioxidant amount in the cell. The proliferation and the biogenesis of the mitochondria are increased, our health is increased, so everything is good. And glutathione is the major endogenous, produced by the body, antioxidant by the liver, right? And it helps also vitamin C and vitamin E in order to sustain. And here is an Aalere bracelet, a 67-year-old man, before and after. You see the red around his chest right here, and his back. This happened in, I think, 10 minutes, and the inflammation was reduced because of the Aalere bracelet. And also same with the lower extremities. Below the knees, this man was, actually it was me, it was reporting a sunburn that day, so you could see the sunburn was actually, the inflammation from the sunburn was actually decreased. Now, this is quite an amazing feat, just for a little bracelet to do. I really like these. This really shows exactly what happens in the body. And also, I did a test with dear friends of mine, Anita, Trudy, Irma, and Marilyn. And Anita, surprisingly, had no change. Her blood pressure was 95/50, and it's remained 94/50. The only thing reduced was her heartbeats per minute went down 67, so she was very stable. Judy, for example, was 119/80, which is a really good blood pressure as it is. Then look at this, folks. It went down to 108/73. I find that astounding. Irma, 118/87, went down to 86/58. And Marilyn, with high blood pressure, 148/104, went down to 137/90. And her beats per minute actually reduced. So this is, I find, one for one. It helps in this BP. Okay. I also did a test with my doctor, Dr. Brad Thompson, age 57. He used this as a squeeze test, right? With how strong your squeeze is. Dynamometer tested 110, and he pulled 110 and it went to 120. 9% improvement. My improvement was from 70 pounds to 80 pounds, a 14% improvement. So even strength is increased with the test. So we have, folks, here our Aalere bracelet, and I would suggest that you guys tell everybody about this bracelet, because it's going to be something really beneficial for everybody's health. It helps with all our other products, our gel products, and especially our youth product. The combination of the two, this actually protects the body so it can do everything it's supposed to do. And then our wonderful nutrients in our crystals can help the body restore the alimentary canal, help restore immune system function. So everybody needs this. I would love you guys to share this with everybody, and I appreciate your time today. So I'm going to end the recording here right now, and I'm going to be talking.